overcome my sheltered upbringing.
Ooh, all right.
Oh,
All right. By show of hands, who's had a sheltered upbringing? Oh, okay. Who had parents that exposed you to stuff you didn't think you should have seen? Oh, okay. So we're the opposite of that.
I had a little bit of both. So it depended on which parent you're talking about, because
Okay, all right.
my dad, he showed me all kinds of horror films, and he took me to all kinds of fun stuff. So my dad, he was big into NASCAR, and he had a race car. And so we would go there. We went to boat races, some hydroplane races. And I was actually telling Devo last night about this, where they were trying to make it more family friendly, the boat races, but they weren't fully there yet. And I remember sitting in the bleachers.
Do they have all their clothes on?
Not this lady.
Okay.
And he was like, "Don't turn around." I'm like, "What are you talking? Don't turn around." I'm probably
Isn't that the first thing you do?
It's like I'm a kid. That's the first thing I didn't end up seeing anything, but I other than bare shoulder. But yeah, no, this lady was had a semicircle of guys around her, and she was dancing. And so, but on the flip side, my mom, ultra conservative. Like I brought home a Magic the Gathering land card that I had found on the ground. Okay.
Yeah.
And I showed it to her. I'm like, "Oh, isn't this cool artwork?" And she's like, she grabs it from me. She's like, "This is of the devil," and throws it away. She didn't even want me playing any kind of card games with playing cards. And
why? What was the reasoning?
We're not supposed to do that. It's all gambling. And I'm like, "Mom, we're just playing, spades or something."
So it's the same reason.
All gambling.
Right. Okay. The same reason my parents. It says it because it says poker cards on the pack.
Well, and I remember I went on a trip with my dad, because back then, if you were under I think even still, if you're under a certain age, you can fly for free. And my dad was going to visit his family, and one of the stewardesses gave me a deck of cards. And when I came home, that deck of cards immediately disappeared. And so, she was ultra conservative. My dad was on the other end. And so I got a weird blend of both sheltered and unsheltered moments.
For reference, we call his dad Papa NASCAR because of all the reference. His dad cheated at NASCAR, was a little NASCAR driver, cheated at it.
Well, he wasn't the driver. He built the car.
Harley revving guy leaving church. I mean, your dad was something else.
Yeah, no, on his Harley, he would drive by parked cars and rev it just to see if he could set off the car alarms with the vibrations.
All right, so Josh, what's your shelter? So Joe, how have you overcome that?
So mostly I didn't listen to my mom. My dad ended up passing away when I was 16, and so I would butt heads with my mom after that, even more so. But she wasn't in a mental state to have those fights at that point. And me being an ignoramus teenager, I didn't understand the depths of the emotional toll that was going through her mind. And so all I saw as a selfish teenager was, "Oh, I'm getting my way a lot more often now." And so I ended up coming out of that shelter from my mom, because my mom stopped fighting, because she was dealing with her own grief and her own loss. So
follow that, Josh.
That's tough. So I came from a very sheltered home. We went to a Pentecostal church, and everything was off limits. I thought everything I did was going to make me go to hell instantly, including swearing. I remember one time specifically I was watching, boys, you've never heard this, so cover yours if you want, but I was watching something on a scrambled channel. And my mom knocked on the door, and so I had to decide whether I wanted to tell her about that or tell her about the TLC CD I had in my drawer, so I gave up the TLC CD. That was that. So it was Crazy Sexy Cool, and I never got another one. But swearing was the big thing in my house, and that was like the worst sin in the world, and you're going to hell if you swear and everything. And when my kids were born and they were growing up, and they're obviously still growing up, but swearing is not completely off limits in our house. We're trying to teach them the right way and context and who you're around and when to do it and when not to do it. The big thing for me is when you're fighting and arguing, don't use swear words. I know that seems counterintuitive because you want to use swear words, but that's what makes it worse because you're trying to escalate it by using those words. But if you stub your toe, throwing a good F-bomb, it makes it feel better.
Go ahead, Joe.
See, with my kids, we tell them if you don't know what it means, you shouldn't be saying it. And we've said that too. We've said that for a long time, but even with us repeating that over and over, we had a recent one just about a month or two back where my son, my 11-year-old boy, he was rhyming with words, and so he was saying a bunch of stuff that he
What does it
didn't know the
rhyme
meaning
with?
of.
What does it rhyme with?
Digger.
Oh no!
And we immediately
That was with
were
the
like,
hard D.
we were like, yeah, no, you do not say that ever. And so, but he's repeated different things, and my other boy has said different slang words, and we're like, do you know what that means? Oh, it means they've got a big butt. I'm like, that's how people use it, but do you know what it actually means? And so we try to take it as an opportunity to teach them.
Sure.
And teach them not only what it means, but also why we don't say it. Because we can't, coming from a partially sheltered a lifestyle.
You went full shelter.
We don't, no. We try not to shelter them, but we also try to teach them why I would have been sheltered. If that makes sense.
I'm always curious if Papa NASCAR had been alive when you had kids, how the grandpa NASCAR would have worked out there. With my kids, I've taught them time and place. Because I know my wife, so we were having our first child. I have 4. When we were having our first child, she's like, did the whole mom thing. We got to clean up our language. I was like, yeah, that's not, I'm a paramedic. That is not going to fly. I'll try to honor your wishes. So the first cuss word he repeated came from her. And I was like, ooh. So about trying to teach him time and place. And when I kick something, there's a lot of 4-letter words that go into that. Even though I try not to say them, it's coming out of me. And he was maybe 2. And somebody bought them this big metal fire truck. And he didn't see it. And he kicked it. And very slowly, like the day before, I'd done something and put my head. Because I'll put my head against the wall to keep from punching something. And I'll cuss at it. And his little 2-year-old kicked it and went over to the wall, put his head here, and goes, he starts saying it. I'm like, I just don't do that at Mimi's house. You be okay. Sheltered. All right. So I talked about Smurfs. I talked about He-Man. I mean, no explanations of anything. And we're watching Back to the Future. And in the first 5 minutes of Back to the Future, he yells, and we try to keep it PG-13. He yells, you B word. Normally I wouldn't say that, but his daytime at Dragon Con. And I'm like, what does that mean? And just never say it. Never. It just kills you. So then I'm out on some school field trip, and somebody had graffitied the school with the P word for ladies. And I just read it off the wall because I know that's a little kitten, right? It's a little cat. And the trouble I got into, and I still did not know why I'm getting yelled at. And it was so crazy. So I probably overcompensated and taught my kids things that I for everybody raise their hands like I've been exposed to things I shouldn't have been. That's my kids raising their hands probably because I've tried to explain so much. And there was a moment when my son was in public school. We had ultimately pulled all of our kids out to do homeschool. But there's a moment when he's in public school and he came out like, oh, here's the thing they need you to sign so I can go to the DARE class. I'm like, all right, let's have a real talk before I sign this. Because there's things you might see around in the world that are just not that hardcore. Because I think DARE is much like church. It is very no explanation, overbearing. And so I taught him that drugs are really expensive is what it stands for. And he got to go repeat that at the class. So I was very proud. So I would like to hear if someone wants to share what's something you were exposed to as a kid that you shouldn't have been. Come on up. Yep, let's get a lot too. Gotcha.
So I went and saw 8 Mile in theaters.
How old?
13.
Ooh,
Okay.
that's a
All
little.
right.
That's a little young.
with my mom.
Okay.
She took me and bought an M&M CD for me.
So she did that on purpose.
Yes.
How are you today, sir?
I'm much more conservative in terms of what my kids consume.
See, I get that. I'm kind of hoping my
Yep.
kids do the same thing. If I push it a little too far, they'll come back.
You're pushing them so far past that they're gonna bring it back in a little bit.
Because
bring it in.
I mean, we make jokes about how I am now, but nobody here knew me when I was 18, and it was very much coming out of that. I mean, I exploded out of the depression that I had. So yeah, I don't want that.
So my parents were never like real straight, and we had like the family plot, you know, that stuff. But the one thing, my mother, she cursed. Like my father don't curse. My mother does, so I curse too. So when I was in high school, the girl she got mad with me because I asked her to, can I have something as simple as a pencil? I said,
Mhm.
borrow a pencil from me the day before. So I asked her like, can I have a pencil back? Why you wanna? So then we started calling each other, not the B word, but it was another word.
Okay.
And so my mom, and so I thought the teacher was gonna put us out. So I told my mom, I said, Mom, I said, teacher might call you because I called this girl a certain word. And she's like, where did you learn that word? I said,
Where did you learn that
"Learned
word?"
from
I quote that 80s drug commercial. Where did you get these? I got it from you,
I
Dad.
learned it by watching you.
Yeah.
Yep.
See it.
I never used that word before. H.
Sure.
But then she's like, oh my God, where did you learn that word from? I was like,
School.
Yeah, yeah.
So
See,
that
that
wasn't
makes
your.
me
So you
think
didn't learn it from your mom. You learned it from school.
See, that makes me
Okay.
think of A Christmas Story. Where'd you learn that word? From a classmate. Even though he learned it from his dad, and then you hear the mom beating the son. What did I do, Mom? What did I do?
All right, so my dad was my youth minister growing up. And so when I was 15, I went to a garage sale. And in this garage sale, like he just had his building open. He said, if you find something you want, bring it to me. Well, I found X-rated movies. So I took it and I put it in a different box from a different movie that was there. And so then when I got home, I had to figure out how to hide this from my dad. So I took the least watched movie in our house, which was Gremlins.
Okay. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Opened
Yeah.
that up. I opened up the X-rated and I swapped the reel into Gremlins. And so then I just kept that in my room. So there was a really awkward moment in our house when my mom wanted to watch Gremlins one night, and I had to go get real mad and just break Gremlins for no reason.
No, I'm not watching that. It gives me nightmares. Oh, I couldn't watch Scooby-Doo because apparently it gave me nightmares. I guess nobody explained to me that the mask had real people in it. I don't know.
Oh man, yeah. There were a bunch of different times where my mom, because she would never explain. And in hindsight, I'm like, oh no, that's satanic panic stuff. Like she,
Oh God, yeah.
My sister was dating one of the youth pastors in our church, and he wanted to play D&D with us. So this is coming from a church member, and my mom was initially like, no, you can't play D&D. You can't play. And so we finally, she gave up and let us play. But I think it was mostly because it was my sister's boyfriend who was also
The youth
part of our
pastor or
church,
whatever.
and so she allowed it. I don't know if she ever actually altered her conception of it, if she ever actually accepted D&D. I do remember her having a conversation with me before our first session saying, if anything feels weird, just let me know. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, Mom.
So my dad was a Southern Baptist preacher, so you're the devil Pentecostal, and he big huge binder that was Satanic Panic, and couldn't touch any of that stuff. But then Marvel came out with their own rules based off of D&D. I got to play that all day long. It's the same thing. Anyway.
So Kaz wanted to mention that she got exposed to way too many Stephen King novels when she was
Oh yeah, yeah.
by her own efforts, but it was still like
Well, is it Stand By Me? Was the Stephen King movie where they find the dead body? Yeah, I watched that one. Even on TV, that you're not ready for that when you're 8 years old. Yeah.
That's true.
my dad actually was really loved took me to a lot of really good movies, but also took me to a lot of movies that I probably shouldn't have been going to at the time. When I was about, I think, 5 or 6 years old, they did one of the first kind of like re-releases of 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Okay.
My
Oh,
dad
yeah.
was like, "Oh yeah, I need to go." I literally, first grader,
No, 5, 6 years
5 or 6 years
old.
old. It was G-rated.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, and I still that
So-
with the monkeys and all that. Man, that was just I was already just like, Dad.
My bigger question is, does Siri still freak you out because you think you're Hal?
Oh no. Well, I don't. I know the that Daisy song. When he's getting shut off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many parts of that movie that are just absolutely. And actually, one of the things that also freaked me out. Have you ever seen the actual preview for The Shining? The movie.
Not the preview. Yeah, no.
It was just the elevator doors opening.
Ah.
An unrated a all audiences preview, and that's.
Oof.
I was like watching Popeye or something. At the theater. I was like, no, that's not nice.
Awesome. Thank you.
So my mom was really religious, and my dad was just a little bit.
He was
But-
ish, religious.
But yeah. But my memory goes back to RoboCop. That's
Oh.
So
I watched that one off of TV.
So exactly.
Yeah.
But then you watch like the actual version of it. And here's the thing, they had a Saturday morning cartoon.
Oh, yeah, right.
It had cereal, it
We had the toys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it got to a point where I realized I realize now as an adult I shouldn't have been watching that. But that
Yeah.
was sort of me and my dad's sort of thing.
Yeah.
So mom's away, mom's asleep. I'm watching Rambo. I'm watching Predator, Terminator.
Yeah.
So stuff with my dad now. And granted, my son now is only 6 months old. So I have to figure out what I want to do. I think I turned out okay. So
Hey, you came to this panel. You must be all right.
Yeah. So I don't know if RoboCop will be that, but I just remember RoboCop being right. I
Yeah.
remember RoboCop being that thing that I was like, I love this movie. I love action movies. My dad bought me a toy of it. How bad could this be? So I'm not sure where I'm gonna lead with my son, but we'll see down the road. But yeah, my love of action movies came from my dad.
I hear you.
That was just our thing.
I think at the end of the day, we all do the best we can as humans, as parents, and we correct from what we think was a mistake in our childhood and try to do the best we can. And then you got to realize in yourself, you turned out okay. You're not blasting some cop with 1,000 bullets who becomes a robot to see what happens. It's all right.
One of my main goals is to avoid therapy costs with my kids. That's
not
that's
mine.
my parenting style.
Not mine. Mine is like, I'll either pay for college or therapy. You got to choose.
Hold on, Jackson. Jackson, what's your favorite show?
Breaking Bad.
Yeah, Breaking Bad.
It seemed like he could handle it.
I have come around where my kids are watching something like Breaking Bad, and they're at the time maybe 10 or 11. I'm like, all right, if you see anything you got questions about, come talk to me. And if it's on TV, it's not real. That's the rule.
All right. I'm sorry. I gotta get this off first.
Come on.
Ma'am. I don't know if you understand this or not, but I have to say first thing first. Mustard.
You got it! Somebody recognized you. That's exactly where she's at.
I had to. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I just want to share a little bit of wisdom, honestly, that I've got in my journey as being a father. Honestly, with as far as that goes, as far as being sheltered and raising your kids. And one thing that I learned, and I shared with my wife, I really believe in treating my daughters as individual human beings, and that even though I may have a belief system, your belief system, or whatever how you want to live your life may be different, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm only responsible for my life. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
want to give you wisdom as much as I can. You know what I'm saying? And the way to make good decisions as much as I can, but you got to live with what you make. You know what I'm saying? So I want them to be comfortable with their decisions and their wisdoms that they make. So I share what I believe with them, but at the same time, look, you got to do your own thing. You got to live your own life. You know what I'm saying? So as far as the exposure thing, you know what I'm saying? I try to get ahead of it. You know what I'm saying? All right, look, we're going to watch this thing, but this is what I believe on. You may believe something different, and that's okay. But I just want to let you understand like the concept of having your own opinion. You know what I'm saying about things. And I think
Give them some
that's
agency.
important. Exactly.
Yeah.
To give to your kids. Because a lot of times as parents, it's easy to give like, oh no, this is right, this is wrong to your kid. But it's like, dog, that may be to you, but they're their own individual person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you got to give them that same respect that you give somebody else, because they're going to be a human being just like you. Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, so that's the wisdom I have in it, you know, that I just wanted to share to this whole panel, whoever's listening.
I think this is your chair right here.
That
You
is-
sat in the wrong place, man.
No, I don't know about that.
yeah.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, and what that
Absolutely.
does is it teaches them to think for themselves, and it teaches them quality skills to avoid peer pressure, especially as teenagers and young adults. So, yeah.
Well, you know, I mean, these guys have heard this before, but my parents wanted to go see Jaws, and I'm a little, I don't know, 6-7-year-old boy sitting there. They wanted to see Jaws in the theater.
Yeah.
And they're hauling me along, and I'm sitting there watching this shark, and you know, and then the boat's upside down, and then the guy comes swimming into it, and then the body comes out, and I jump. Oh my God! And I had nightmares for a long time.
Yeah.
And then, so my dad, same way, we talked about this, loved the horror movies. I don't know why, and he had no problem. And then he wanted to go see this movie. So I'm from Missouri. There's a little town called Fayette. Small little, I mean, it's a small movie. And we go in there, and he wants to go watch this movie called Squirm. Movie, terrible movie. But when you're a little kid,
Oh,
you
yes.
got that big screen, and all these worms are coming up.
Nathan
on the
Fillion,
screen.
right?
Huh?
Nathan Fillion's in that one. You know,
All I know.
Yeah, no,
is-
it's bad.
And so I'm sitting here, and this is so in Fayette has a very high population of black folk. And
Okay.
there was a high population of black folks in that theater. And the moment that screen filled up, these boys came running out. Of course, I'm like, should we run with them?
you ask, you run, and ask later. Come on.
No. I think this can run out because they were sitting right there. But
Yeah.
I don't know why. But again, my son was interested. You know, he liked that stuff. He's grown up, and he's okay. You know, I'm okay.
And
Maybe for
we're
a while
all
I
okay.
wasn't, but
All right. So as we wrap up, because a lot of this comes out of fear. They teach us fear. Our parents, they don't mean to. They're trying to protect us, but protecting us, they teach us fear. So Joe's, what we're going down to? What's one thing you do to teach the opposite of fear? Courage, faith in yourself, whatever. To not worry. What do you do to teach your kids that?
I'm gonna go with a story. So my middle child for a long time suffered from nightmares, and so the advice that I gave him is that to try during his dreams and his nightmares to try to put his hand in front of his face in the dream. And I was trying to teach him to control, to have some semblance of control, to have some lucid dreaming. And then I after he got to that point, I told him, okay, well, now you can control what happens. You can give yourself a bazooka and take out whatever monster is in your dream. And and he still has nightmares every now and again, but they have severely decreased in number. And he no longer wakes us up in the middle of the night.
Show him the documentary Major Pain, and that'll help you out there. Josh,
I'll just shoot his closet. It'll be okay.
Exactly.
Oh, that's a great movie. So as they were growing up, and you know, they always just seemed to things I thought they would be afraid of, they weren't afraid of. But I was afraid of when I was younger, and they just seemed to have way more. I think it was just the way I was raised. My mom was afraid of everything, even when it came to driving. Like, she would always say things like, "Don't like pull in front of a car too quickly because the car might just stall out in the middle of the road." And I was like, "Can that happen?" So I was like afraid of driving and things like that. And I haven't instilled that fear in them that it was instilled in me. I think it's something a little bit that's taught. So I've just been kind of watching them in awe of how they've been growing up and doing things like being way cooler guys than I am already. You know what I'm saying? They're just,
and that's our goal.
Badass. Yeah.
Our goal as parents is to damage them a little bit less than we got damaged. I think. I've done two things with my kids, like the TV thing. Somebody else told me this one, and I just latched onto it. But it's, hey, teach your kids if it's on TV, it's not real. And I can talk to you about anything, but most everything is not real, and that helps out. The other thing, when I try to bring healthy things into their lives early on, and I think Doctor Who's a pretty healthy, happy, positive. Usually, he always wins kind of deal. And other than the what is the oncoming storm storyline where he is the oncoming storm, she had a TARDIS that she could hug and it did all the noise. So one or two nights in a row, she's waking me up in the middle of the night. I had a bad dream. That took her in there because I don't want to get out of bed and deal with this. So I said, hey, the doctor always wins, right? So yes. I said, here's your doctor, here's your TARDIS. When you wake up, just hold on to it. Never had another nightmare. Never had another one. So you try to teach that, latching on to something like the hands and the modeling the behavior, it sounds like, where you just don't teach fear. That's the first step. Stop teaching fear and everything else will fall into place.